So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a job development class. We're going to kind of be talking about how do you land your own job. We're going to be going through things like how do you figure out where to work, how do you avoid time wasters, and the real big thing is how do you get through to hiring managers and book your own interview, right? I don't know if you guys have ever ran into this issue where you're applying at places, you're waiting for a callback, the callback never comes, or they call back and say, yeah, we've already filled the position, things like that. Does that happen for you guys? Gotcha, yeah. So that happens a lot. It's because we mean well, but we really don't know how to do our own job development. I bet you guys, when you're out there looking for jobs, you're just putting in application after application, putting your resume in everywhere. Is that kind of what you're doing? More or less? Okay, gotcha, yep. So what we want to start with is, I want to start with some introductions here. So just give me your name and kind of where you live. I'm Dan, I live here in Flint.
I'm Dominic, I live in Flint.
Jamie, I live in Grand Blanc.
I'm Mike, I also live in Grand Blanc.
All right.
And I'm David, I live in Flint.
Good. So what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to put your names so we can go with job goals, right? Okay. So when we're looking for a job, the most important thing that we can do in order to start well is to come up with a targeted job search. I usually do a 1, 2, and a 3, right? The 1 is, that's like your dream job, like what you would do for free if you could. It's like, man, I really want this job. Now, it's something you're still qualified to do, so don't say like it's being a PhD if you don't have your doctorate, right? But it's something that you can do now, but that it would be like, man, I would be so happy to do this job. And then number 3 is what you would do if nothing else was available. Like, okay, I need a job. I'm willing to do this, but I really don't like it. And then number 2, something in the middle, okay? I want to take some time, and this might take time, okay, for us to do this for everybody in here, but I want to really take time on these 1, 2, and 3s before we go into the skills of booking your own interview. So, Mike, why don't we start with you? Like, what is like the job that you would really, really like?
So I think it would be some sort of accounting.
Okay, good. You'd feel like you're winning, you're successful if you got that position. Okay, I gotcha. Now, what would be your number 3?
I guess number 3 would be just something that I'm not really using the skills that I learned in college, just like super entry level. Sure.
So you have a degree? Or you're working on it right now? You're in college?
In April.
Okay, so you'll be graduating this year then. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's in accounting.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So you're about to have your bachelor's in accounting. Let's think about what's available. I know when you're in college and you're just getting out, you're broke, right? And you need to be able to start paying student loans, get a car, eat, whatever, right? So let's think about some number 3s then. First of all, you're looking for full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Okay. Do you have any like lifting restrictions or anything like that? Any physical restrictions?
No.
Okay. What about doing production work?
It's an option.
Is it maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like production, assembly, or warehouse. What would you say would be like a number 2?
Probably something just in the business field, but not necessarily in accounting.
So now, in accounting, there's actual accounting, right?
Right.
But then there's kind of underneath that is bookkeeping.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was
thinking. Were you thinking like that in terms of number 2, like AP, AR type stuff? Like.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not a bad thought. I'd like to think of maybe one more number 3 here. So production assembly, you really didn't look like you liked that at all. So what about customer service somewhere? Or like working in a call center?
Those might be number 4 or 5.
Right, they're way down the list. I got you, yep. What are some of your hobbies?
Working with computers.
Okay. When you say working with computers, you're talking like IT type things or like coding, programming?
I did a little bit of coding, computer science.
What about working at like a local computer shop, like an IT place, like a computer repair shop?
Yeah, that would.
So computer repair, IT, maybe even like a remote entry-level help desk sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Dominic, let's go with you next.
All right, number one.
Mm-hmm.
What a question.
Right?
I think, man. I mean, like owning my own business.
Okay, to be self-employed.
Yeah.
Good. What's a number 3?
Number 3. That would be if I had to,
If you had to.
I would go back to like working at a restaurant or something.
So food service.
Yeah.
And what's in the middle?
Something like with people. for
Okay.
Sure. I like to talk, so maybe like.
Customer service, sales.
Yeah, like sales.
Okay, let's say sales. Good. Jamie, you're next. What would be your number 1?
Be an interpreter, I guess, I think it's called,
So-
for sign language.
So ASL interpreter?
Yes. Oh, yeah, so.
Okay. Right now, do you have your degree in that?
No.
Okay. So right now, you're probably not qualified to do that. I do like it as like a long-term goal. Let's think about something that you are qualified to do right now. What would be an ideal job for you right now?
Honestly, anything that sounds understandable, but not like too hard, but not too easy.
Mm-hmm.
I was even thinking in the past about working at GM, but I heard it's hard to get into. You have to know a person to know another person to get in.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, baby. You probably do know somebody. So you're thinking like a good paying job like GM or maybe like, what about FedEx or UPS, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind lifting boxes and things all day.
Okay.
That would be.
So maybe at like the warehouse or something, right?
Yeah, I can't think of too many jobs that are kind of a step under interpreting, really, particularly. I mean, I guess talking in general, I mean, a public speaker, but I don't know if I'm up for that. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's not necessarily a ton of money in that unless you're a politician or something like that. So we might stay away from that. We want something that we can actually go and do in a realistic time period. So now that's your number 1. So maybe working at GM, FedEx. Probably can't do the terp job, right? But it is something to think about, thinking about how you're wired. Maybe you can, a closely related one, maybe what about working at the Michigan School for the Deaf? That's right here in Flint.
It's the kind of same concept.
Well, maybe you just, one of the keys to being successful as an interpreter is immersion, being around a lot of deaf culture, right?
Yeah, that'd be fine too. I just kind of wanted to also be an interpreter. I mean, if I was there as an interpreter, that'd be pretty cool.
So maybe working at a deaf agency or school,
Yeah.
I might call that 1B, you know what I'm saying? Because it's really closely related to that, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I might even just go and then move the GM FedEx down here, right?
Yeah, that's me. Makes more sense.
Yeah. And then in terms of, I'm going to do this if nothing else available.
About anything in reach around here that it seems like it's.
Something in walking distance, maybe?
I mean, there's that Taco Bell down the street from you, but I guess that's.
I think, because one of the challenges you have is transportation, right? So it's hard to get around without a car,
Otherwise,
right?
I'm capable of doing a lot of things. It's just transportation, more or less.
So I'm going to put walking distance here. So that way, we're just thinking about, hey, what's close to where I live? You know, sometimes I had a young man in Fenton who I was trying to help, and he lived off of one of the lakes there, and he couldn't drive or anything, right? And his parents couldn't take him everywhere. So we just did a little Google search, found out that there was this little restaurant on the lake right there that's within walking distance of him. He got a job as a busboy, right? Mm. Walking distance in the middle of nowhere. Hooray. Okay, so we got that. David, let's go to you, sir.
Yeah, so I have a degree in mechanical engineering, so
Yep.
what I'd love to do is Work in the auto industry, preferably in engines, but
Okay.
engineering in
Okay.
the auto industry.
Okay, so an engineering degree. Okay, very good.
Yep. I guess my number, I think this would be a good number two, is like, I like tuning engines, modifying, so I don't really want to be like an ordinary mechanic, but if I could do some like tune-ups or work on race cars or something. I don't know,
Like
is that a number two?
like prototype, more exotic sort of stuff, like very niche
Yeah, like
sort of thing. And now, if nothing else was available,
So right now, I work at Starbucks, but it's okay. I
Yeah.
have a job. It's part-time, so I could kind of use more hours. So I'm not sure what to put for three because I kind of have that.
okay, so you kind of have number 3 right now.
I could use more, maybe a second job while I'm waiting.
Well, let's really nail this down, right? Because it's gonna depend. We do want to make sure we have a number 3, because in case the performance engine things doesn't work, the engineering doesn't work. Have you had an internship yet?
Yeah, I've done. I've interned at GM.
Okay, so you've already had an internship, but it's definitely all about automobiles. But you don't want to do standard like mechanic work. You've already got a job now, so you're kind of financially stable.
Definitely could use a little bit better job.
Okay, so you're probably making 12, 13 an hour right now at Starbucks.
Yeah, after tips, it's maybe not quite that much.
Okay. I'm going to do a combo here. So like either a tier 3 supplier. So this one you were talking about getting into GM, right? Maybe a tier 3 supplier as like an engineer's assistant, right? So not necessarily, more like a technician kind of role.
Okay.
So not quite an engineer, but you know what I'm saying? So get your foot in the door sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or the other thing would be potentially getting into production at a major supplier or a major automotive place, right? So maybe you're getting into production at GM, making $20 an hour to start on the line or whatever, just to kind of help with student loans or whatnot.
Okay.
Is that realistic for you?
Yeah, that would work.
Okay. So now here's the next thing, okay? So all of you got your 1, 2, and 3 right here, right? Now we have to ask ourselves on a timeline, right? So on a scale of right now to ideal job, right? Where do you land on there? Like, do you need a job right now? Are you somewhere in the middle? Or can you afford to wait to get your ideal job? So let's start with you, Mike.
So right now I just have like a job that requires like no skills. It's like super entry level.
Yeah.
I'd like to get into a job that starts to gain some experience in accounting,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can get my foot in the door to
So let's
work
say
my way up to.
getting an accounting job, let's say it took like 5 months to get for whatever reason, right? Let's just say it's 5 months. Can you afford to wait that 5 months? Or are you kind of in the middle here? Where are you at? I'm sure you're not down here. You're probably more here or here.
I can afford to wait that.
Okay, so this is where Michael is. Okay. Okay, so Dominic, what about you?
It'd probably be a while. So, I mean, I could wait a little bit, but I don't need it. Like, I have a job right now, but.
So would you say like you're kind of like in the middle? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Jamie, what about you? How soon do you want a job?
I'll say soon.
Okay.
I still want to be kind of patient or kind of, see what's out there that I really do want. and then see if they're open.
I understand. I'll explain in a minute what I'm working at here. David, what about you?
I really could use something better within the next month or two.
Okay, so that's pretty quick. So I'm going to put you right here, right next to Jamie. Okay, so here's the deal, right? Almost all of you have noticed that the number one positions that you're looking for are harder to get than the number three positions that you're looking for. Generally speaking, it goes 3, 2, 1. Not always, right? Like it might actually be harder to get a performance engine job than it is to get into GM, for an example, right? But what this does is this tells me, or it tells you, where your efforts need to go. So for you, Jamie and David, so you guys need a job sooner rather than later, right? Mm-hmm. That means it's like the good old 80-20 rule, right? So 80% of your effort needs to be going towards probably your number three, all right? Now that doesn't mean you don't put any effort towards the others. That's why you got the other 20% that you can put into the deaf agency, right? Or getting into the performance engines or GM, David, right? But the lion's share of your time needs to be going towards these other ones because you need a job sooner, all right? I've worked with some people who are looking for a job or out of a job, so you need one right now just to pay the bills. And that brings up another thing too. Short-term, mid-term, long-term plans, right? So sometimes what you want to do is like, hey, I need this job right now, but over the next year, I'm going to look for this job or prepare for this job. So if you go and get your certificate for interpreting, right? Or you're finishing up your accounting degree, right? So can you get in a job as an accountant right now? No, you legally can't. But in a few months, you can. So maybe right now, you're looking for a bookkeeping job instead, right? Which is not a bad segue to going into full-blown accounting. But the idea here is to not mismatch your efforts.